What were you speaking about today?
Was speaking about, well, many things. So organizational needs in a diverse society was the title.
Okay.
And it was talking about how to create inclusive spaces at work, how to seek those spaces. So whether you're an employee or a student going to search for a job, really what to look for, what do you care about, what are you passionate about? Is that congruent with what the organization is, and then is what the organization put out congruent with who they are? So those were that was kind of the premise.
What got you interested in diversity and kind of creating that aspect in your workplace?
Yeah, unintentionally, life. As a woman of color that grew up working class poor, I think that is the beginning of my story, but I also am able-bodied. I'm Catholic Christian. I'm straight, and so I have lots of power in pieces, which I didn't learn about until like 8 or 9 years ago in my 30s. And, I think seeing people pained isn't where I want to be, where I want them to be. And so really thinking about what do I want humanity to be? And my philosophy now is, I want to leave the world better than how I entered it.
How important do you think diversity is in a workplace?
Yeah, that's what I do for my living. So I think that I would say extremely important. And for me, it is diversity beyond just the numbers, right? So it can be lots of folks of color or lots of folks that are gay or have different religious beliefs besides Christianity. But it is how do we support the diversity in organizations? That is the key for me, because you can have people, but it doesn't mean that they're treated well. Yeah.
What are some of the ways that someone who is put into a workplace where they want to create that diversity or make it a more comfortable, inclusive place for everyone, what would they do?
Yeah, so I think they need to, that's a great question actually. I think that they need to be patient, right? And so not be the diversity police and point everything out of what folks do wrong, but as they first enter to really be able to kind of sit back and see, what's working well, what's not, where are there places that are inclusive and where are there gaps, and how then can they have conversations, right? How can they leverage who they are and the folks around them to fill in those gaps, and knowing that we are all on a spectrum of what inclusivity means.
Do you think there's any point where that perfect world of diversity in your workplace is ever met, and do you think you ever realize that, or do you think it's always a process that you have to just keep working towards?
I think it's a process. I have never come across an organization that's got it all together.
What are the benefits of working in a place with diversity?
One, individually, I think people can feel safe and secure in who they are. So if they have a different religious practice besides Christianity, they can feel safe in who they are. That's one example. Or they can have, if it's a same-sex partnership, that they can have that picture of that person on their desk. And in this society where it's not homogeneous anymore, that there are a lot of experiences, ways of thought, identities, that is the way that the world is and is going to continue to go. And so how are we embracing that? How are we learning about that? Which is really about learning about ourselves. What means a great deal to me, or what am I biased, and how do I work on that? And so that I can meet my clients' needs, because they're different than I am.